What's going on, everyone? Great Talon here, and today the prey is going to be my Metaloid Origin review, reviewed on the Nintendo Switch. With a name like Metaloid, I was immediately thinking that it was going to be yet another Metroidvania type of game, and boy was I ever wrong. Sporting a look and feel more reminiscent to the old school Mega Man X style of games, Metaloid is a delightful and refreshing iteration that pays homage to the classic run-and-gun stage structured games of yesteryear, while maintaining a fresh look and feel at times. However, with that being said, it isn't without some hiccups along the way. So here's my take on the little indie Mega Man inspired game Metaloid, reviewed, like I said, on the Nintendo Switch. Okay, graphics, performance, and controls are up first. Metaloid is presented in a 2D 16-bit retro visual style. It has many colorful sprites that make up its characters and maps as you traverse through the game's 9 stages that range from areas such as encampments, laboratories, even underground sewage areas, even outer space at times in the final act of the game, which is pretty neat. Most of the graphics reminded me very much of the Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis days of old, as they possessed the spirit and charm of old school action side-scrolling shooters such as Contra, Metal Slug, and even, like I said, Mega Man X, while having the aesthetic and structure, like I said, built more so like the Mega Man games, while retaining some sense of originality in some of its design choices. For example, all of the Metaloids, which are pretty much androids you play as, are all female from what I can tell, and the 3 you get to choose from to play as are vibrantly detailed in violet, green, and red armor, or bluish armors, with different body types and various armor outputs and builds and shapes as well, and different types that they have customizable as well, which adds their own unique sense of cosmetic flair. Metaloid also performed fairly well while playing on my Switch, mostly in portable or handheld mode, with no real issues as I could seek out, and it ran very smoothly from start to finish. Controlling the characters around felt like you were playing as a female Mega Man or a Mega Woman, which is fine by me, and the only time I ran into a bit of control hiccups was when I was learning a new move or ability, such as Air Lightning Dash, for example, or Fire Dash. But you get the gist of it fairly quickly, as most of the controls and button mapping are nice and fluid from start to finish. Next up, we have gameplay and a bit about the story. Metaloid, like I previously stated, is a run-and-gun type of 2D side-scrolling game, broken down into 9 stages with about 2 bosses per stage, a mid-level boss and an end-stage boss. The game is heavily inspired by Mega Man X, like I said, in particular, and you can definitely see the similarities, such as air dashing, wall jumping to climbing, and even obtaining upgrades for your armor and arsenal, which unlocks new weapon variants throughout the course of the game. For example, after you beat a certain stage, you'll unlock the ability to purchase a new type of Metaloid Origin upgrade for your laser pistol, for example. For me, I stuck with rapid fire, machine gun type, or rapid fire type upgrade. There are many more, ranging from shotguns to even grenade or rocket launcher type weapons. Your standard laser pistol has infinite ammo, but your secondary weapon, if you have it unlocked, consumes energy dictated by a bar under your HP meter in blue. If you have any unlocked, you can unlock the ability later, any ability later on that you've unlocked, which allows you for energy replenishment on its own over time, instead of just picking up these green energy-like modules from enemy drops or that are randomly scattered across the stages. You can also obtain HP replenishment as well from red and blue-like modules with crosses, with like red crosses on them in the stages dropped by enemies when you defeat them. The game is structured very well, I might add, with energy and health restorative items being nicely placed and paced through each of the game's stages, such as right before a mid or end level boss fight. The game is like Mega Man games, but if it wasn't so difficult. But with that being said, Metaloid does pose some sort of moderate challenge, mostly in the latter stages from like stage 6 to 9, I want to say. The final boss has 2 phases as well, so stay frosty out there. I also enjoyed the mild sense of exploration within each stage that Metaloid offered. Some of the stages, if not most, are set up where you don't simply go from left to right mindlessly, getting to the end. Sometimes you'll need to backtrack or go right, then down and left to unlock some sort of mechanism or switches, for example, in order to unlock a path forward, while at the same time seeking out rare items such as secret abilities or upgrades. There are at least 1 secret item to enhance your armor and or gear in each stage. There are also pink-like fragmented particles you can pick up from the parts of the stages or enemy drops that act as your currency, in which you can use to upgrade yourself, or are used as continues if you so happen to die in the screen and part of the screen you're in. Which is great. I rather like that. But instead of continuing, like I said, upon death, relies on how much currency you have at the time. It costs 50 fragments to continue each time you die, which also forces you to either strategize that much more. Do you buy a fancy new upgrade for 2,000 particles, or do you save them up for a tough boss encounter when you know you will need those those fragmented particles for continues. There's also an upgrade, an upgrade to use currency to gain some of your health back, of your health bar back. You get 3 health bars, red, yellow, and green. And there's an upgrade that you can buy that pretty much just heals you on command. You just spend a few credits, and the cost of those credits fluctuates depending on how many times you use and abuse it, which can come through in quite a pinch if you say you have the boss against the ropes and you have the boss down to a fucking dick hair of health, and you're about to run out of health as well. You can restore just a little bit of your HP with a button for say 50 to 100 fragments, as opposed to the risk of dying and having to do the entire boss battle all over again from the start, or even before that. It is certainly an interesting strategy the developers allow you to utilize, and I found it came in quite handy in more of the trickier and challenging later sections in the game. The story is honestly one of those weaker aspects of Metaloid, seeing as though whoever made this game forgot to take out some of the grammatical errors and spelling flaws that are honestly quite hilarious to read when you in some of the dialogue that pops up. It reminds me of that game Zero Wing back in the day when it was like, what you say? They set up us the bomb. If you guys ever seen that clip, that's pretty classic. But all you need to know is there's an evil man named Lucian trying to corrupt all the Metaloids and turning them into agents of evil, including the other 2 of your friends, the other characters you get to play as. And it's up to you to stop him. So both the sound effects and music alike just scream out Mega Man X. You have your edgy, almost ambient rock-like chip tunes playing with some gnarly, fused with some gnarly techno at other times, and it is just like playing a blast from the 90s past as you trek your way through each stage. The sound effects from explosions to the shooting mechanics all sound as nostalgic as they are retro throughout the game, and they were all synced up very well, I found. To the replay value, I'm going to go with moderate here. So depending on what you fancy, you may be playing Metaloid well beyond when the credits roll. There is a hard mode as well as some secret items and upgrades like I mentioned earlier. You can go back for, as well as trying to obtain the origin numbered part upgrade to complete your arsenal as well. For me, I was satisfied after I ran through it once just to get the feel for what the game was, and I rather enjoyed my time with it and minimal complaints in my 4 to 5 hour playthrough. And now on to the overall score. Is it worth your time? I'm going to go with an 8 out of 10 here because pushing the grammar and spelling errors aside, along with the game's somewhat easier difficulty and rather short length, Metaloid Origin is a charming and delightful spiritual successor to the Mega Man X games on the Super Nintendo, and adds a little bit of a unique spin by offering them in various ways, such as pimping out your character with upgrades and abilities galore so you can play the game how you want to in the end. So with that being said, that is my review of Metaloid Origin. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks as always for stopping by.